Lucky American coins. The 1982 Lincoln cent is one of the most fascinating coins in modern United States coin collecting, not because every example is rare or valuable, but because the year 1982 represents one of the most important turning points in the history of the American 1-cent coin. For anyone searching through an old jar of pennies, a family coin collection, a box of inherited coins, or even ordinary pocket change, the 1982 penny can be worth examining carefully. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than a common brown or red 1-cent coin with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But hidden among the millions of ordinary 1982 cents are varieties, transitional compositions, double dies, mint errors, and unusual examples that can attract serious attention from collectors. The story becomes especially interesting when people hear extraordinary claims that a particular 1982 penny could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. One frequently repeated figure is $298 million. Such a number sounds unbelievable, and there is no reliable evidence that a 1982 Lincoln cent has ever sold for $298 million, or that any authenticated example has a confirmed market value anywhere close to that amount. The real story is actually more fascinating than the exaggerated headline. The 1982 cent is connected to a genuine and historically significant change in the composition of American pennies. Some examples from this transitional year can be much more valuable than their 1-cent face value, especially when they possess a rare variety or an unusual mint error. To understand why the 1982 Lincoln cent matters, it is necessary to understand the history of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular-issue United States coin to feature a real historical person rather than an allegorical figure. The portrait of Lincoln was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and the coin became one of the most recognizable pieces of American currency. For decades, Lincoln cents were made primarily from a bronze alloy containing copper, with a small percentage of tin and zinc. These traditional bronze cents had a warm reddish-brown appearance when new and gradually darkened through circulation and exposure to the environment. Their weight was approximately 3.11 grams. This composition remained essentially unchanged for many years, including the famous 1909 South VDB Center, the 1914 D cent, and the 1922 No D cent, all of which became important collectibles because of their rarity. The 1982 Lincoln cent, however, belongs to a completely different chapter. Rising copper prices had become a serious problem for the United States Mint. The intrinsic value of the copper in a cent was getting closer to the coin's 1-cent face value, creating concerns about the cost of producing the nation's smallest denomination. The mint therefore began changing the composition of the cent. Beginning in 1982, the United States Mint transitioned from the traditional bronze alloy to a copper-plated zinc composition. The new copper-plated zinc cent contained a zinc core surrounded by a thin layer of copper. Its standard weight was approximately 2.50 grams, compared with the approximately 3.11 gram weight of the traditional bronze cent. This change created a fascinating situation. During 1982, both bronze and copper-plated zinc cents were produced. That means that the year 1982 contains multiple combinations of dates, mint marks, compositions, and date styles. Collectors commonly distinguish between large date and small date varieties for 1982 cents, and the Denver Mint produced several important combinations. The 1982 cent is particularly interesting because the Denver Mint struck enormous quantities of Lincoln cents that year, but a very small number of pieces associated with the wrong composition and the small date variety have attracted enormous collector attention. The rare 1982 small date bronze cent is one of the most famous modern Lincoln cent varieties. This is where the idea of a potentially valuable 1982 penny comes from. A normal 1982D copper-plated zinc cent is generally a common coin. A normal 1982D bronze large date cent is also not automatically a fortune. But a genuine 1982D small date bronze cent is an entirely different story. It is considered an extremely rare transitional error, and authenticated examples can command significant prices in the numismatic market. The key word is authenticated. A coin can appear rare while actually being damaged, altered, plated, manipulated, or misidentified. This is especially important with 1982 cents because the transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc means that weight is an important first clue. A 1982D cent weighing around 3.11 grams may deserve further examination, while one weighing around 2.50 grams is generally consistent with the copper-plated zinc composition used during the transition. However, weight alone is not enough to prove that a coin is a rare 1982D small date bronze cent. The date style must also be examined. The coin must be genuine. The mint mark must be correct. The composition must be verified. The coin must not have been altered. Professional authentication and grading can make an enormous difference. The standard 1982D Lincoln cent carries the D Mint mark beneath the date, indicating production at the Denver Mint. The Philadelphia Mint did not traditionally place a mint mark on Lincoln cents, while the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with an S Mint mark. Therefore, when examining a 1982 Lincoln cent, the presence or absence of a mint mark is one of the first details to consider. The obverse of the 1982D Lincoln cent features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above Lincoln's head appears the inscription Liberty. The date 1982 is positioned to the right of the portrait, with the D Mint mark below it on Denver issues. The phrase "I in God we trust" appears along the upper rim. The reverse design used on the 1982 cent is the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which had been introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. Above the monument is the inscription United States of America. The denomination 1 cent appears below the building, while E pluribus unum is displayed above the memorial. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse remained on the cent from 1959 through 2008. In 2009, special designs commemorating the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth replaced the memorial reverse for that year, and in 2010 the current Union Shield reverse was introduced. The symbolism of the Lincoln cent is therefore much deeper than its denomination suggests. Abraham Lincoln represents one of the most important figures in American history. His portrait on the cent connects everyday commerce with the nation's Civil War era, the preservation of the Union, and the abolition of slavery. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse further connects the coin to American history and national memory. When collectors examine a 1982D cent, they are therefore looking at a coin that combines two different stories. The first is the story of Abraham Lincoln and the enduring Lincoln cent design. The second is the story of changing technology, rising metal costs, and the transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc. The weight of the coin is one of the most important characteristics to understand. A traditional bronze Lincoln cent from the earlier period generally weighs about 3.11 grams. The copper-plated zinc cents introduced during the 1982 transition generally weigh about 2.50 grams. Because the difference is substantial, a precision scale capable of measuring to at least 1/100th of a gram can be a useful tool for collectors. If you discover a 1982D cent that weighs close to 3.11 grams, you should not immediately assume you have found the rarest variety. There are ordinary 1982D bronze cents as well. The date style and other characteristics must be considered. If the coin appears to have the small date variety and weighs in the bronze range, then it may deserve professional examination. The 1982 date is often divided into large date and small date varieties. The differences can be subtle to inexperienced collectors. The spacing and shape of the digits, particularly the 2 in the date, can help distinguish the varieties. Collectors often study the position and proportions of the digits and compare them with known examples. The 1982D small date bronze cent is the coin that has generated much of the excitement surrounding this year. It is associated with a transitional era because the mint was moving from bronze planchets to copper-plated zinc planchets. A bronze planchet apparently received the small date design intended for the later production sequence, creating a combination that is exceptionally rare. The existence of a genuine 1982D small date bronze cent is important because it demonstrates how changes in production systems can create unexpected numismatic rarities. During periods of transition, the mint must manage multiple planchets, dies, production schedules, and machinery. When one production system changes to another, mistakes and transitional pieces can occasionally escape into circulation. That is one of the reasons mint errors fascinate collectors. A perfect coin represents the intended production process. An error coin represents something that went wrong, or something unusual happened during that process. Mint errors can occur at several stages. A planchet can be improperly prepared. A blank can be struck with the wrong die. A coin can be struck multiple times. A die can crack or break. A coin can be struck off center. A foreign object can interfere with the strike. A wrong planchet can be used. A coin can even be struck with dies intended for a different denomination or date, although such occurrences are extremely rare. Not every unusual-looking coin is a mint error. This distinction is critical. A coin damaged after leaving the mint is considered post-mint damage. It might have been crushed, scratched, chemically treated, heated, bent, drilled, or altered. Such damage may make a coin look unusual, but it does not necessarily increase its value. For example, if a 1982D penny has a strange-looking edge because someone squeezed it with pliers, that is not a valuable mint error. If the coin has been chemically stripped to reveal a different color, that does not automatically make it rare. If someone adds a mint mark, changes the date, or manipulates the surface, the coin can actually become less valuable. This is why serious collectors rely on evidence. The first step is visual inspection. Examine the date, mint mark, overall color, surface, and design. The second step is weighing the coin accurately. The third step is comparing the coin with known examples. The fourth step, if the coin appears potentially significant, is professional authentication. Professional grading services can examine coins for authenticity, variety, composition, condition, and other characteristics. A certified coin receives a grade that describes its condition. For rare coins, certification can provide confidence to buyers and sellers. Condition is another major factor in value. Two coins with the same date and mint mark can have dramatically different values if one is heavily circulated and the other is in exceptional uncirculated condition. Collectors often use the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. Grades from 60 upward are generally considered uncirculated, with higher numbers representing better preservation and strike quality. For copper-based cents, color designation is also important. Coins may be described as brown, red-brown, or red. A coin that retains a large amount of its original bright red color can be more desirable than a similarly graded coin that has turned brown through oxidation and environmental exposure. However, color can also be manipulated. Some coins are chemically treated or artificially brightened. Experienced collectors and professional graders look for signs of alteration. A genuine rare 1982D cent with the correct composition and variety can be valuable, but the market value depends on many factors. The exact variety, authenticity, condition, color designation, certification, eye appeal, provenance, and demand can all influence the price. This brings us back to the dramatic claim of $298 million. There is no reliable basis for stating that a 1982 Lincoln cent has a confirmed current market value of $298 million. No credible auction record supports such a price. No established numismatic reference establishes a $298 million valuation for this coin. The figure should therefore not be presented as a confirmed market value. For a YouTube video, however, the $298 million claim can be discussed as an example of how viral coin stories spread online. The responsible approach is to explain that the number is unverified and that collectors should focus on documented auction results and professional evaluations. The real value of a rare 1982 cent can still be substantial. A genuine 1982 small date bronze cent is considered one of the major modern Lincoln cent rarities. Depending on condition and market conditions, an authenticated example can command a price far above face value. But the exact amount should be determined using current auction records, professional price guides, and comparable sales rather than an unsupported viral number. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a valuable collectible can sometimes be extraordinary, but it is not unlimited. Collectors should be cautious whenever someone claims that an ordinary-looking penny is worth hundreds of millions of dollars without providing evidence from a reputable auction house or grading service. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1982 cent is that it can be found by ordinary people. Unlike certain extremely rare coins that have been known to collectors for generations, a 1982 cent may still exist in old accumulations. That does not mean that valuable examples are common. Quite the opposite. The rarest combinations are extremely difficult to find. But the possibility is enough to encourage collectors to examine their coins carefully. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies. You pour hundreds of coins onto a table. Most are ordinary. Some are worn. Some are shiny. Some have dates from the 1960s and 1970s. You see 1980, 1981, 1982, 1983, and later dates. Among them is a 1982 cent. At first, it looks ordinary. You pick it up and look at the date. 1982. You look below the date. D. Denver. Then you notice that the coin feels heavier than expected. You place it on a precision scale. The display shows approximately 3.11 grams. Now the coin becomes interesting. You carefully examine the date. Could it be the small date variety? If the characteristics appear correct, the coin may deserve further investigation. This is the moment when patience becomes important. Do not clean the coin. Do not polish it. Do not scrape the surface. Do not apply chemicals. Do not attempt to remove the copper color. Do not try to make the coin look newer. Cleaning can destroy the original surface and reduce collector value. A rare coin with its original surfaces is generally far more desirable than a cleaned or damaged example. Instead, preserve the coin exactly as you found it. Place it in a suitable non-reactive holder. Record the weight. Take clear photographs. Compare the date with reliable references. If the evidence remains promising, contact a reputable professional grading and authentication service. The 1982 cent is also a perfect example of why coin collecting requires knowledge rather than excitement alone. Social media videos frequently feature headlines such as "Check your change. This penny is worth $298 million." Such headlines are designed to attract attention. Sometimes the underlying coin is genuinely interesting, but the stated value may be exaggerated. The collector's job is to separate the real rarity from the sensational claim. The 1982 cent has a legitimate story. It does not need a fictional $298 million price tag to be fascinating. The transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc was a major event in U.S. coinage history. The 1982 cent is one of the few years in which collectors can study different compositions and date varieties within the same annual issue. The 1982 D small date bronze cent represents a particularly interesting combination because of its rarity. The coin's composition is therefore central to its story. Traditional bronze cents contained mostly copper, with smaller amounts of tin and zinc. The copper-plated zinc cents introduced in 1982 contain a zinc core covered by copper plating. This difference can often be detected by weight, although professional testing may be necessary for definitive identification. A scale should be used carefully. If a coin weighs 3.10 or 3.11 grams, that is a clue, not proof. Environmental factors, wear, dirt, and scale accuracy can affect the reading. A scale that is not calibrated can produce misleading results. For serious examination, collectors may use additional methods. Professional graders can use specialized equipment to verify composition without damaging the coin. X-ray fluorescence analysis, for example, can help identify the metals present in a coin. The design details can also provide clues. The date is one of the most important features. Collectors should learn how the large date and small date varieties differ. The differences may be subtle, and online photographs can sometimes be misleading because lighting and camera angles can change the appearance of digits. The D mint mark is another important detail. The 1982 D cent was produced at the Denver Mint, and the D beneath the date identifies its mint of origin. The mint mark on a genuine coin should be examined for consistency with known examples. Altered or counterfeit coins can sometimes have suspicious mint marks. Counterfeiting is a serious concern in the rare coin market. When a coin has the potential to be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, counterfeiters have an incentive to create fake examples. They may alter common coins, manipulate dates, add mint marks, or fabricate errors. The more valuable the coin, the more important professional authentication becomes. A dealer may offer a faster transaction, but potentially at a different price. The best option depends on the coin and the seller. The market for rare coins can be complex. Some collectors prefer auction records. Others prefer private sales. Some coins attract intense competition. Others may take longer to sell. The rarity of the 1982 D small date bronze cent means that the market can be particularly sensitive to condition and certification. A high-grade example may attract attention from specialists building advanced collections. The population of certified examples can also influence collector interest. If only a small number of coins are known in a particular grade, collectors may compete strongly for the next example that appears. This is why grading matters. A coin graded MS-64 red may have a very different market position from one graded MS-67 red. Strike quality matters. Surface preservation matters. Color matters. Eye appeal matters. A coin with technically high grade, but unattractive surfaces, may be less desirable than a coin with exceptional visual appeal. This is why professional collectors often study coins in person. Photography can help, but it cannot always capture the true appearance. The 1982 D cent also reminds us that the word error can be used too broadly. The rare 1982 D small date bronze cent is often discussed as a transitional error, but collectors should distinguish this from ordinary varieties. A large date versus small date difference is a variety. A wrong composition can be an error. A double die can be a die variety. A post-mint scratch is damage. A plating issue can be a mint error if it occurred during production, but damage after production is different. These distinctions are important. A good coin collector learns the vocabulary. Variety. Error. Transitional error. Wrong planchet. double die, off-center strike, broad strike, clipped planchette, die crack, cud, machine doubling, post-mint damage. Each term describes something different. The 1982 D cent can therefore serve as a gateway into the broader world of numismatics. The word numismatics refers to the study and collection of coins, currency, metals, and related objects. Numismatists examine coins from many perspectives: historical, economic, artistic, technical, metallurgical, cultural. A single penny can provide evidence about all of these areas. The 1982 D cent is an example of how economic pressure can change physical currency. The United States wanted to continue producing a 1-cent coin, but the rising cost of copper made the traditional composition increasingly expensive. The solution was to change the metal composition while keeping the familiar appearance. This is an important lesson in economics. Money is not just a symbol. It is also a manufactured object. The materials used to make money have costs. When those costs change, governments may change the materials. The public may barely notice. Collectors notice everything. That is why coin collectors are often historians of small details. The 1982 D cent is a perfect example. The difference between 3.11 grams and 2.50 grams may seem insignificant. But in the world of coin collecting, that difference can point toward an important historical transition. The difference between large date and small date may be visually subtle, but it can change the identity of the coin. The difference between an ordinary bronze cent and a rare transitional combination may be enormous. This is the world of numismatic detective work. The collector is the detective. The coin is the evidence. The scale is the tool. The reference book is the guide. The grading service is the expert witness. And the market is the final judge of value. That is why searching through old coins can be so exciting. You never know what you might find. But the most successful collectors are not those who believe every sensational claim. They are the ones who learn. They study. They compare. They verify. They remain patient. The 1982 D cent is an excellent example of this philosophy. If you have one in your collection, do not assume it is worth a fortune. But do not dismiss it without looking either. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Check the weight. Study the date style. Look for genuine errors. Compare it with trusted references. If something unusual appears, get professional advice. The coin may turn out to be common. That is the most likely outcome. But if it turns out to be a genuine rare variety, then you may have discovered something special. The possibility is what keeps collectors searching. The $298 million claim is not supported by documented market evidence, but the underlying 1982 D story is absolutely worth telling. The real treasure is the history. The real rarity is the unusual combination. The real value comes from authenticity, rarity, condition, and collector demand. And the real excitement comes from the possibility that an ordinary-looking penny might hold an extraordinary secret. The 1982 D Lincoln cent is therefore not simply a 1-cent coin. It is a snapshot of an important moment in American coinage. It represents the end of the traditional bronze cent era and the beginning of the copper-plated zinc era. It carries the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. It displays the Lincoln Memorial. It bears the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, 1 cent, and E Pluribus Unum. It carries the D mint mark identifying Denver production. It exists in different date varieties. It exists in different compositions. And, in extremely rare circumstances, it can exist in a combination that collectors consider highly significant. That combination is what gives the 1982 D cent its place in modern numismatic history. When people hear about a penny worth $298 million, they may imagine that every 1982 D cent is a hidden treasure. That is not the case. But the truth is still exciting. A tiny number of rare 1982 D cents are genuinely important. A genuine 1982 D small date bronze cent can be a major discovery. A coin that looks ordinary can become extraordinary when the evidence proves that it is something rare. That is the essence of coin collecting. The value is not in the imagination. The value is in the evidence. If an authenticated coin sells for a documented price, that is evidence. If a grading service confirms its identity and condition, that is evidence. If multiple reputable sources agree, that is evidence. If an internet post simply claims that a coin is worth $298 million, that is not enough. The best collectors understand the difference. And that difference protects them from scams, misinformation, and unrealistic expectations. The 1982 D cent also provides an excellent opportunity to teach viewers about responsible collecting. Do not clean coins. Do not trust every viral video. Do not assume a high asking price is a real market value. Do not spend large sums without authentication. Do not sell a potentially rare coin before researching it. And never allow excitement to replace verification. If you find a suspected rare coin, take your time. The coin has already survived more than 4 decades. There is no need to rush. The best decision may be to preserve it and seek expert advice. The story of the 1982 D Lincoln cent continues to attract collectors because it combines rarity with accessibility. Millions of people can encounter Lincoln cents. But only a very small number will encounter the rarest varieties. That makes the search challenging. It also makes the discovery thrilling. Imagine finding a 1982 D cent in a collection inherited from a grandparent. The coin has been sitting quietly for decades. You examine it. You weigh it. The weight is surprising. You study the date. The variety looks unusual. You consult references. The possibility becomes stronger. Then the coin goes to a professional. Weeks later, the results arrive. The coin is genuine. The composition is confirmed. The variety is confirmed. Suddenly, the ordinary penny becomes an important piece of American numismatic history. That is the kind of story that makes coin collecting unforgettable. Whether or not the coin is worth thousands, tens of thousands, or another amount, the discovery itself is meaningful. Every rare coin begins as an ordinary object in the production process. The mint did not necessarily know that a particular piece would become famous decades later. Collectors create the historical importance by recognizing the rarity. That is why numismatics is a partnership between history and discovery. The 1982 D cent deserves attention because it sits at the intersection of several important developments. The first is the long history of the Lincoln cent. The second is the transition in metal composition. The third is the existence of multiple date varieties. The fourth is the possibility of rare transitional errors. The fifth is the growing interest in modern-era coins. Together, these factors make the 1982 D Lincoln cent one of the most interesting pennies for modern collectors to study. The coin may not be worth $298 million. There is no verified evidence for such a valuation. But the genuine rare examples are still worth serious attention. That is a much more accurate and compelling story. The next time you see a 1982 D Lincoln cent, take a second look. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Think about the weight. Think about the composition. Think about the transition that happened in 1982. Think about the millions of ordinary cents that were produced. Then remember that among ordinary coins, rare combinations can sometimes appear. The search may not make you a millionaire. In fact, most searches will end with ordinary coins. But every collector knows that one exceptional discovery can make thousands of ordinary searches worthwhile. That is the dream that keeps the hobby alive. A penny is small. A penny is familiar. A penny is easy to overlook. But a penny can also be a piece of history. The 1982 Lincoln cent is proof of that. Its story begins with Abraham Lincoln, continues through the history of the Lincoln Memorial design, passes through the economic challenges of rising copper prices, enters the technological transition to copper-plated zinc, and eventually reaches the hands of collectors searching for rare varieties and errors. The coin's value depends on what it truly is. If it is a common circulated 1982 cent, its value is modest. If it is an attractive uncirculated example, its value may be higher. If it has a recognized error or variety, the premium can increase. If it is a genuine 1982 small date bronze cent, the coin enters an entirely different level of collector interest. But the number $298 million should remain in the category of an unverified claim, not a confirmed market value. The strongest coin stories are not built on exaggerated numbers. They are built on facts. And the facts surrounding the 1982 Lincoln cent are already fascinating enough. The coin weighs approximately 2.50 grams if it is the standard copper-plated zinc composition, and approximately 3.11 grams if it is a bronze composition. It carries the classic Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The D mint mark identifies Denver production. The year 1982 marks the major transition between traditional bronze cents and copper-plated zinc cents. The existence of large date and small date varieties adds another layer of complexity. And the extremely rare 1982 small date bronze cent makes the year especially important to collectors. That is the real story. That is the reason to search. That is the reason to learn. And that is the reason a simple penny from 1982 can still capture the imagination of collectors today. For anyone beginning a coin collection, the 1982 cent is an excellent reminder that knowledge is more valuable than hype. Learn the history. Learn the varieties. Learn the weights. Learn the designs. Learn the mint marks. Learn the errors. Learn the difference between damage and genuine mint mistakes. Learn how to preserve coins. Learn how to authenticate them. Learn how the market works. And above all, learn to verify extraordinary claims. If you do that, then every coin you examine becomes more interesting. The 1982 Lincoln cent may never sell for $298 million. There is no documented evidence that it has. But it does not need to. Its true story is already remarkable. It is a coin born during a major transition in the history of American money. It is a coin connected to one of America's most famous presidents. It is a coin with multiple varieties and compositions. It is a coin that can teach us about economics, metallurgy, manufacturing, history, and collecting. And in its rarest form, it is one of the most intriguing modern Lincoln cent discoveries a collector can hope to encounter. So the next time you search a jar of pennies, do not just look at the denomination. Look at the details. Look at the dates. Look at the mint marks. Look at the weights. Look at the varieties. Because sometimes the most interesting story is hiding in the smallest coin. And sometimes, after millions of ordinary pennies have passed through countless hands, one unusual example survives. Waiting. Quietly. For someone to notice. That is why the 1982 Lincoln cent remains a fascinating part of American numismatic history, and why collectors continue to search for it decades after it first entered circulation.